Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm really excited today to have Winn Clark joining us. She is a business and mindset coach, and I also consider her a very dear friend. So today we are going to be talking about actually journaling for 2022. What is it that you want and desire for the new year? So while we're waiting for Winn to join us, go and grab a piece of paper or a journal or even the back of an envelope. Grab a pen, and you don't want to miss this. She will be walking us through some prompts. We will sort of take a look back over 2021 and then also start to dream and plan for 2022. So we'll get ready, grab a pen, and let's get ready to plan for the new year. What are you excited about? You can drop in the comments. How are you feeling about the new year? I know some of us are feeling optimistic. I know I am feeling optimistic, but there also is a little bit of hesitation out there in the world, which is perfectly understandable given the last couple of years that we've had. So drop a comment and tell me how you are feeling about the new year. How were your holidays? What are you dreaming of for the new year? So I would love to know and love to be able to connect with you. So we're just waiting for Winn to join us. Welcome. And there we go. I see her coming on. So it'll just be a minute here and then we will get going. So if you haven't grabbed a pen and a piece of paper, maybe a journal, doesn't have to be anything fancy, go ahead and grab that so that you are ready when we get Winn connected in here. We can get going. So let's just see when to join us. There she is.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
Happy New
hello.
Year.
Happy New Year.
I
So,
saw you asking earlier if it was too late to be wishing people a Happy New Year, and I don't think so. I think we get the entire month of January.
okay, I wasn't sure of the rules, the parameters around saying Happy New Year. I know I tend to say it the whole month of January. So,
Yeah.
anyways, well, welcome. This is Winn
Thank
Clark.
you.
I
Thank you.
gave a
Thank
little
you. It's nice to be
intro a
here.
minute ago. Yes. She's a business coach. She's a mindset coach. I also get to call her a very dear friend. And I'm just so happy to have you here. If you're just joining us, go grab a pen, go grab a piece of paper, a journal. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Rather than a conversation back and forth, Winn has come prepared with some prompts to give you. And I know this is a really valuable tool when you're in the new year, thinking about what is your vision and really getting clear on what your vision is. So this isn't about, making resolutions and things like that. This is getting a bigger vision. So Winn, take it away.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. I haven't done a live in a while, so it's fun to be back on and to be back on with you specifically. So thanks again.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Well, one of the things that I've been noticing, and I'm so glad that you commented about this isn't about resolutions. You know, all the research supports the fact that resolutions just don't work. And, here we are a couple of weeks into the new year, and I'm sure a lot of people can already attest to that they just don't work. They don't have staying power. They don't have legs. And so I don't set resolutions anymore. It's been a long time since I have and that feels really good. But one thing I'm noticing this year is that everybody seems to be easing into 2022. And I'm not exactly sure why that is. I don't know if it's COVID fatigue or what, but I feel like the first 2 weeks of the year, everybody was like not quite ready to commit. And now, people are really starting to get some traction towards what it is they want this year to be all about. So I have a process that I take clients through that takes a couple of hours, but we don't have a couple of hours on Instagram. So I thought it would be fun to just pull out a couple of the key questions and give people a chance to kind of reflect on those questions. And then if they want to geek out and spend a couple of hours, they can, at the end of the call, we can tell them where they can download the worksheet and get a couple of friends and do it together or do it on their own, whatever works. So
I love it.
the first step in the process is to really look to 2021 for the lessons and the learnings. I think
Love
it's
it.
really important. Yeah, I think it's so important before we like move full steam ahead to really reflect.
Hmm.
Um, some of the questions that I have people pondering and that I pondered for myself is, what felt really easy this past year? What are you most grateful for? But the question I love the most is, what were three instances, three examples of when you felt most like your best self?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the kind of question that I think people, whenever I ask anybody to step into doing a year-end review and then setting a vision for the year ahead, I always encourage people to do it after they're in a really positive headspace. So for some people, that might mean meditating or doing some yoga or going for a walk or going for a run. But it's really essential to do this when your head just feels really clear, and
Hmm.
you can feel as optimistic as possible.
Hmm.
So this first question in particular, like what were three instances where you felt most like yourself, takes a little bit of pondering. And one suggestion that I give folks is to look back at their calendar, like month to month, and some of the big events and little events, the highlights, to kind of see what comes to mind. And I'm curious, Elaine, if you would share one of the times last year when you felt most like your best self.
Oh my goodness. Hmm. I think I've tried when I'm with my mom
Mm,
to be really present. And especially because, as you know, I have like three different jobs that I do. So I'm always juggling like so
yeah,
many things.
yeah.
And I'm always going, 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 going. And I really like, even I'm mindful when I get to her community and I turn the car off of like, okay, it's time to slow down.
Mm,
And don't bring all that energy
yeah,
into her space and just be present with her.
yeah.
And it's really nice. Put the phone
Mm.
away, go for a walk, and just spend time with her. And that actually feels like the person I want to be.
Mm. That's interesting that it wasn't
Mhm.
anything like big or, it wasn't like a big milestone or celebration or that it was something so simple.
Yeah, I realized my mom has taught me to appreciate nature.
Mm,
She finds the beauty in nature and to walk around her community and to really, we love to look at everything that's blooming and this and that. And she will not make you, but she's so excited about seeing what's happening, what's blooming, this and that. I mean, this sounds so simple, right?
yeah.
But it just brings you back to yourself in a way.
Hmm. It's so interesting to hear you say that because, I'm sure you've read the research. I mean, you are so active in the wellness space about
Mhm.
how when people spend time in nature, they physically feel better, their blood pressure comes down. I mean, it's just such a simple thing, and yet we're online and on our phones and on our computers more than ever. So I love that it's something so simple that you've been
Yeah.
able to identify. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of business things where it's like, yeah,
Sure.
I was so resilient, right? My supplier had no more collagen to sell me. I literally was sitting on my couch like, I'm about to go out of business this year,
I saw.
you
Yeah.
know? But what are
Hmm.
you going to do?
Hmm.
Okay, so you get online, you figure it out, you find a new supplier, you keep pushing forward to complete, resilience, grit, determination.
Mm. I love
But
that. Let's
that's
no,
what
say
you do,
more.
you know.
Hmm. I
And
love that you can acknowledge that about yourself, that you've got that grit and resilience.
it's only in this last year that I've been able to say that I have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with a bit of your help.
Oh, you're very kind. I'm curious, Elaine, another question I'd ask
Uh-huh.
everybody to ponder and that I've been pondering for myself as well. As you look to 2021, what advice would the year of 2021 have for you in 2022?
Oh wow. Probably don't don't sweat the small stuff. Like things will work out. It can be hard when you're really way down in the weeds of it.
Mm, mhm.
Um, and it's really important to prioritize your own self-care. If you're going to function in this world, you can't keep kicking that can down the road
Yeah.
and putting yourself last.
Hmm.
So,
It's interesting that you shared that because I know I've been guilty of this in the past. I was really guilty of this in 2020 for sure.
yeah.
And I've heard some of my clients, talking about this past year
Mm-hmm.
where they missed doctor's appointments, they haven't had checkups, missed the mammograms. And I think women are particularly guilty of putting other people first or putting their
Yeah.
businesses first. And it's like, can't do that, you know?
Yeah.
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 You can't show up and do the work you're meant to do if you don't take care of yourself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's simple ways of just, um, yeah, nurturing, self-care, anything that's restorative.
Yeah. Walking. I'm trying to do better at just moving your body because I think
Something
that's where the
simple.
answers come a lot of the time.
Yes. There's some research that I was reading about in Cal Newport's work in the book Deep Work, if you know that book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so good. But there's something that's like research has proven that there's something about when you're moving your body, it allows your brain to get more creative. And
Yeah.
so he encourages, and I've heard other people that do this, where they kind of take a business problem with them on a walk, you know?
Yeah. Because I think you
Yeah.
get in a bit of a hypnotic state. I
Hmm.
also figure things out when I'm driving. So I keep
Hmm.
post-it notes in my car because that's where I figure out things.
Here you go. Here's your $1 million idea. Come up with waterproof post-it notes for the shower. So when you have ideas in the shower.
I know people who have some sort of waterproof thing, like a pen, and because
Are you
in the
kidding?
shower, right? That's
Yeah.
you're in a more
Hmm.
sort of hypnotic state. Nothing comes to you when
Yeah.
you're sitting at your laptop, at least for
Yeah. It's
me.
like, where's my brilliant idea? Yeah.
Right, right.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So that's a big one of the big questions is, what advice would 2020 have for 2022 or 2021 have for 2022? I know for me, it
Mm-hmm.
was to work less
I love.
and take more time for fun, for vacation, for being in nature. I
Mm-hmm.
just worked too many hours. I fell into that trap, and you start to lose creativity, and you're just no good for anybody. So that's my advice for
Mm-hmm.
myself for the year ahead.
Good.
Um, so the next thing is to shift then into 2022.
Yeah.
And the primary question, I'm turning the pages here so I can read it. The primary question is to spend some time in this kind of, open form visioning, where you
Mm-hmm.
write down whatever comes to mind as you imagine the year ahead. And this is the question to ponder before you dive in and start writing things down.
Mm-hmm.
Look into the future 1 year, so a year from now, and imagine that you're living your best possible life. What
Mm-hmm.
would you be creating, doing, experiencing, feeling? You know, who
Mm-hmm.
would you be with? What kinds of things would you be doing, etc.
Mm-hmm.
As you reflect, write down your thoughts and be as specific as possible. Assume that money is no object, and that is a really hard thing for most of us to assume, and especially, women running their own businesses or women managing families. It's really hard to think that way. But I encourage people, like, if money were no object, your family is supportive, your friends are supportive, your health is off the charts, your energy is high. Like, just think as big as possible. Um, and then I like people to think through the different areas of their life to make sure that everything's covered.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, especially at the new year, they think about their health goals. And you
Right.
might be hearing this from, a lot of your clients in terms of, how do they improve their health and all of that. But to be thinking about work, finances, family, fun, learning, spirituality, adventure, um, personal development. So to just kind of like make sure they're thinking about themselves as a whole person and not just,
Mm-hmm.
businesswoman, mother, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So that's the most important question to spend time on. And I really encourage people to write it in the present tense so
Right.
that it's, versus the theoretical.
Right.
Um, and and it's funny, I did this exercise with a group of women that I coach in my all-in program. And so when we blocked off 2 hours and we went through all the questions because there's a whole bunch of them. And I woke up that night after the session, in literally the middle of the night, and it was like, I think I could almost consolidate it down into
Mm-hmm.
one primary question. And
Ooh.
that is, what would make 2022 spectacular? Like, what
Okay.
would just make it spectacular? You know? And I
Mm-hmm.
and I posed that to the group. I put it in our Slack channel, and people came back at like lickety split. It was like, oh, boom, 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 boom. Like, it just really brought clarity to
Okay.
what's out there. So I
Right.
love the vision document. I love all the detail. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
great. And I encourage people to do a weekly check-in with themselves where they reread it and
Yes.
then give themselves a bit of a score. Like, how am I doing against this? Am I
Right.
moving in the right direction? How did I do this week?
Right.
But to not lose sight of something super simple, like what would make this year spectacular. And it's usually just two or three things, four things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not convoluted, it's not difficult. So those are the questions I'm inviting people to really contemplate as they think of the year ahead.
I love that. If anyone wants to comment, write a comment. We'd love to know what would
What would
make
make
this
it?
spectacular. Don't be shy. So Win, what would make your year
Oh
spectacular?
my goodness. I'd like to have even more impact in my work.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to, I love this one-on-one connection with people. But I'd love to serve more people in a way where it services what they're up to. I love when my clients have success, and I want to be the best coach I can be, and I'd love to have more impact on the clients that I work with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I keep talking about a podcast.
I
So
know.
if I launched my podcast this year as planned, that would make it spectacular.
Yes.
And more vacation time away,
Yeah.
more vacation time. Ted and I, my partner, we took our first vacation in 3 years, like our first proper vacation together. And
Right.
it was like, wow, this is insane. Like, we need to get back on track with that. So
Yeah.
those are things that would make this year spectacular for me. How about you?
Those are awesome. Um, Well, you and I have been talking, so I really haven't said anything on Instagram, but I really want to serve women. I get so many questions around health, especially in midlife. So how do you get through perimenopause and menopause with minimal symptoms? I've gone through an autoimmune disorder, not realizing it was going to really set me up for this transition in life. So I would love to really educate women. There's not enough conversations. It's still kind of a topic that isn't talked about, and there's not a
Yeah.
lot of clear information. So if I could really contribute to women's health in midlife, that is something that I'm deeply passionate about and working on. And more balance, honestly. I work too much. I don't take enough time off. Part of that is me just not even allowing myself to take time off. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I want to do more of that. So,
Well, I love hearing you talk about wanting to serve, women in a broader way. I mean, your product is amazing and I love it. And I had my collagen coffee this morning, as I do as part of my morning routine. Um, but you've always been that person who's like a go-to for so much more than just a collagen product, like so much more. And I mean, and I know you walk the talk related to, your Pilates and the way you bring women together so naturally. I mean, I feel like you're encoded to do this kind of work. So I'm super excited for you. There's so much out there that's available to buy or participate in related to how we look on the exterior. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
our makeup tutorials, hair care products, skincare products,
right,
Botox, all the things, and I'm a fan of doing whatever it takes to feel good and all that
right,
kind of stuff to look good.
right.
But it's like all the other stuff that all comes from within, it just
Yeah,
doesn't get much attention at all. It's insane. If we spend a fraction of our energy on those things and talking about, like you said, people don't talk about it. It's like there's shame around not being 30, It's crazy.
it is crazy. Someone I follow here on Instagram who talks a lot about it is Paulina. Not going to say her last name well. Porskova, the model from
Oh,
our
yes.
generation.
Yeah,
Yeah, she gets people all stirred up talking about
totally.
midlife and her choice not to do Botox and things like that.
Mm,
People have to do what works for them. But I really do think food matters, what you eat matters, exercise matters, and there's a whole narrative in our culture that aging just means this. It's just
hmm
downhill.
hmm
In fact, I even had this woman say recently that her doctor had said, well, you just can't lose weight in midlife. And that's just the way it
Yeah,
is. And you can't lose fat and you're just going to be fluffy. And that's a technical
yeah.
term. And none of that is true. And I also think there's a lot of mindset. A lot happens in midlife. And I think you
hmm
start to reevaluate whether you're doing a yearly evaluation, or I know
Yeah.
I've a lot about, well, what legacy do I want to leave and what do I want to contribute? So if there's any ladies out there listening, certainly message me because this is a topic that is near and dear to me. And I know a lot of women are craving conversation around this in midlife. So,
There's such a need for that, Elaine. There's such a need. That's fantastic. I can't wait to see
yes,
how this shows up in the world. It's
I
really
think
cool.
you put a bug in my ear about
I
this.
do
So,
that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm grateful for all
Mm.
the support that you have given me. So,
Well, you brought up a really good point by sharing what is percolating for you and what would make
mhm,
this year spectacular. Because I really think the final question people have to ask themselves when they have a vision for the year ahead that
mhm,
excites them and that lights them up and that they can almost feel and taste, even though,
mhm,
they're not fully there yet, they're like leaning into it, is, who and what can support you in helping to bring this vision to fruition.
I
And I
love it.
think communities of women in particular,
Mhm,
like if you're hanging out with a crowd that's aiming low, you know, thinks, oh, you're going to physically decline or you're over the hill, you can't do good work, or nobody's going to hire you, or nobody's going to hire you, whatever. It's like you gotta find a tribe of people and the
mhm,
resources who are positive and action oriented and supportive.
mhm.
So I know you're up to stuff like that, and I just think it's essential. Otherwise, we like create these visions or vision boards, and then they sit on a shelf, and we don't attend to them. We need a supportive community.
Right. Or I
Mhm.
think like I've often gotten into like analysis paralysis or overthinking or,
Yeah.
oh, it's not going to be good enough. Or my big one right now is imposter syndrome. Like, well, you know,
Hmm.
I'm not an MD. I don't have medical degrees and things to begin.
Right.
So, I agree completely. And I think women are wired, right, for community and to really support each other and figure things out together. So I'd love for you to tell people about what you do and how can they get in touch with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So for a download of the worksheet, the PDF worksheet on setting your vision for the year ahead, you can go to my profile here on Instagram and click through in the bio, and it's right at the very top there, so people can download that. But fundamentally, I work with men and women, but predominantly women, on helping them step more fully into doing their best work. So helping people have a vision for the work they want to do, where they can really, unleash their strengths and their skills and their passions and what lights them up, and
Mhm.
then support them in growing their businesses, but not getting burned out in the process, and that's a challenge, because growing businesses can be difficult and takes time and all that. So kind of walking that line of defining success on your own terms. And I
Right.
like to support clients in stepping into that, but then also making sure they're taking care of themselves at the same time. And so I do a lot of work one-on-one with clients. And
Mhm.
I also have a group coaching program that I do a couple of times a year. The next one starts March 1st, and it's called All In with Winn. And
Mhm.
we meet weekly as a group. And I was just on, right before this with the group today, and we were working on establishing some new habits in support of our vision. So it's really fun. It's part classic coaching and then part learning some new information. So if people want to learn more, they can go to winn@winnclark.com. And
Mhm.
that's WINNCLARK. They can learn more about the All In with Winn program or working with me one-on-one.
I love it. Yes. If anyone out there is listening, I highly recommend working with Wynn. I had the privilege of working with her in a group. It's been about two years ago, two or
Yeah,
three
it
years
was right
ago.
with COVID hit during that
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
that's right. Oh my
Everybody
gosh.
was pivoting.
I've lost track so long ago. I
Yeah.
highly recommend, Wynn has quite a background in the corporate world. She's an MBA and she's just very heart centered and has lots of wisdom and experience. So, highly recommend you.
Elaine, thank you so much. You're so
Yeah.
sweet. You're so
Yeah.
sweet. And I can't wait to see your new baby come to fruition.
I know. I just keep telling myself one foot in front of the other.
That's right. Bird by bird. Annie Lamott calls it that, like in her writing book. Bird by bird, just one at a
Right.
time, one at a time, one at a time. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I see Sue.
yeah.
Sue Izzo has joined us.
Sue.
So Sue is home.
Oh,
She injured her calf, so she's on.
no.
Anyways, um, well, thank you everyone
Yes.
for joining. Please go over to Winn Clark's page and grab that PDF. You don't want to miss that. And I hope you can go through that,
Let me
answer
see.
questions, take time with it. Really take
Yeah,
time with it. Set aside. What I like to do is just shut every notification off and just sit and work on something like that. And
definitely, definitely. Yeah. In
yeah.
my experience, it takes about 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and people can either do it alone or get a group of people together. I find this could be a really fun thing for a couple of women to do together, where you can answer the questions, but then talk about it and support each other,
Mm-hmm.
encourage each other, and how to, move forward.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, I wish everyone a wonderful 2022. And Wynn, I hope to see you in person soon.
Yes, 100% soon.
Yes.
Yeah, looking
Yes.
forward to it. Thank you again.
Yeah,
Okay, be
everyone.
well.
Great
Okay,
day.
see you. Bye.
Bye.